Hello everybody, this is JackB1024 and welcome to episode 10 of our Dynamic Factory. Now between the episodes, I've done a few quick changes. I've added lights to every memory cell that we have, just connected to the storage of that memory cell. And they're just set to light up when anything's greater than 0. So they're just telling us that these memory cells have data in them or not. You can see Bank 1, 2, and 9 have data, and all of our update memory cells have data. I also got the blueprint of this and just copied it over here, and these two blocks of memory cells will be used for our main bus transport belt allocation. So this block's the same as this one, where it'll just store what every belt is being used for. And this block is the same as this one, where it will store what belts we need to change and what we're going to change them to. Now, while looking over and checking that my previous episode rendered correctly, I actually noticed an issue with how we've set this set of memory banks up. Actually, why do you have more than one signal? I'll talk into that as well. But yeah, moving it over, I didn't connect that across. Cool. Okay, so they're all clear again. Now if I turn on this and I set it to right, there we go. Turn this off again. It's done its job. There we go, now it's actually off. You might have more than one signal, but everything else has one. Yeah, and the reason this one has more than one is just because I can't turn this one on and off quick enough. I should have turned it on and off first. But we'll look at any of the other ones because they'll show us the problem too. But you'll notice, so we've got an A of 4, which means this is for bank 4, and a copper signal of 1, copper wires, which means we want to make it make copper wires. Now, our issue with that is, if you remember how our signals for our banks are, the value of 64 determines what they're making. A value of 1 just determines what the rightmost belt would be transporting. So we've got to actually change how the values are written to this. And that's what this new contraption's for. This one basically is a lookup table of sorts. So I've got everything that we want to craft and the belt configuration for it. So for iron gear wheels, our belt configuration is 36, which is the 32 belt and the 4 belt. And same, so we've got Science Pack 1 with those, transport belt, copper wires, circuits, inserters, green science, yellow ammo, red ammo, grenades, turrets, and military science packs. And that is not set up correctly. Military science packs takes turrets. Yep. So we're gonna connect all these up to one line, and we're gonna connect this. You don't have anything on you yet, so yeah. I think I'll need another one there. I won't actually connect anything to it. That's quite a mess of wires over here. So, normally out of this we get essentially what we want to craft. So you can see on the input signal it says we want to craft inserters. That's on the output signal. So what we're going to do instead, I put it onto this medium electric pole, and we're going to take it over to here. So now it's on an input to all of these decider combinators. Of course it's not showing up because the decider combinator over there isn't triggered. So I'll just pretend that it's triggered by using a constant combinator over here. So you can see each of these are getting an inserter signal of one of them. Now that's except for the one line, here we go, that is set to make inserters because it has an inserter signal of 64. And any that are using it will have a different value too. But this is the one that we care about. Because it's got an inserter signal of 64 and the one on the line, that means it will have 65. Now there's no other way to get a signal of 65 on the input to any of these decider combinators, because there's no way to get a 64 signal on a constant combinator unless it is that combinator is being used to tell us how to craft that item. So what we can do, we can say if there's anything that is equal to 65, then clearly the item we're passing in on the red line is the same as the item we've got the combinator telling us how to craft. So we'll pass through everything. And we'll connect this on the green line for the output, and I missed one there. There we go. And we can connect the output onto this same medium electric pole line. We'll get rid of that. We don't need it anymore. And it can go into the input for these two combinators. So that means it takes us now another tick more than it used to do this whole updating of the banks. However, now we're actually getting through data that's actually useful for us. So we'll wipe the memory data there, we'll wipe this one, and I actually kind of want to wipe this one as well. So we'll do that, and we'll run it. And they've all got values now, so I can turn that off. And now we should see, hopefully, one thing we do need to do, and we can easily just put that over here, is we need to get our input. We need to multiply it by -1 and send it to the output. And if you look at these banks over here, you can see that they're all at 65, because we're checking if anything's 65 when passing it through, but really we want it to be 64. Now, we could have easily just set these signals for the constant combinator to be 63, knowing that when we'd pass one in, 63 plus 1 would be 64, so we could just check for 64. However, if we ever had a bank, say iron gear wheels, because iron gear wheels take so much iron plate, maybe we would want every single line leading to those assembling machines having iron plate. Well, if we think about it, we have 6 lines, so we've got 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, which means if all of them are active, that's a value of 63. Now 63 plus 1 would be 64. So if this was set up so that every single belt had iron plates on it, if we send an iron plate to the red signal, this would be giving a 64 value for our iron plates. And so to think this is what we're trying to craft, when it isn't. So that's why I went with the 64, and the -1's just to fix that up. You're not already set. Those lights are useful for checking on that. I think, yep, you're reset, so we'll just run through it again. Should hopefully be done by now. So now you can see, yep, here we go. So bank 2, we want to make red science packs, and we're going to have gear wheels on the 48 lines and cover plates on the 12. On bank 3, we're going to be making transport belts with gears on the 16 line and iron plates on the 8, and so on and so forth. So they all work fine. Okay, so that's the first improvement. Now, I was also, at the end of the last episode, I actually thought of a way to change this circuit up here. So that instead of doing A is less than B will output A, instead we'll turn this into a memory cell. Actually no, because you're getting B as your input. That's okay, you don't need B as your input. Cool. So what we'll do instead, send B instead down to this decider combinator, and it will also get A. because I want them on different colored lines. It's perfectly fine getting A off the red line because they're only inputs to all of those. So we'll get B off the green line. So what we'll do here is this will be our normal memory cell. And so this will just count up until it gets a red signal to reset it. And we can give it that red signal at the same time we give, the memory banks and the few other memory cells we have littered around here their red signal. So what's this going to be doing instead? Instead, for this one, if A is greater than or equal to B, that makes more sense. We'll send out an S signal, put that into our pulse generator, and that can be our tick signal to say that state 0 is done. So there we go. So when this is finished reading them all, we now have got our signal that will send us to the next state, which would be the computing stage. The only thing we need now is we need a signal to check if we're in this state. So if S is 0, output a single A. Yep. What state are we on at the moment? And that's the state we're actually on. Let's just connect. So that Y can connect up there. You can connect on the red output. Yep. And we can connect the green input to there. And we can connect that through to there. I'm actually going to just connect it on the red wire. That should count up. And there is clearly something wrong here. You're correct. Why did you not go to the next tick? If anything's greater than 0. Oh, I know what the issue is. That needs to be connected on the green line. There we go, good. The issue just was that this needs to read on the same line that gets passed to it. So we actually need to use the green, not the red. Otherwise the only input it was getting, because the green line was connected to this thing's input, but that's got nothing on it, because it's just two inputs connected to each other. And the red input was coming from this output, so it was only getting the negative value, not the positive. So there, our first state's done, and we can automatically tick on to the second state. Now the only thing we still have an issue with is that this is still sending to this memory bank a thing saying that we want to, write something to whatever the A signal is. So to fix that, you just think how many ticks I can deal with. How fast does this read off it? Basically 2 ticks. So we need to stop this before this thing tries to read from it. So our red line should be fine. So really it's the output from here. If we can cut that off. Pass it through that. If S is 0, output all your inputs. There we go, so you're not going to output anything, which means this will be getting nothing. I think that'll work. Once we have the whole thing set up, we can check for these issues that we might get where, maybe there's still some data getting transferred through here, just as this is waking up and starting up. And if that happens, you can easily just add a tick delay before this one starts. So we'll just add a few extra ticks before it'll start. Okay, so that's the first part completely done. So state 0 is done, which which means these aren't needed at all. So we'll just get, but you're actually connected through, so we'll rewire this. Wire that to there, wire it down to there. Okay, now state 1. We need to set you up so that you actually know if it's your time to shine or not. So 0 is less than 10, output 0, input count. Okay. If S is 0, output 1 on signal 0, and give this a constant combinator set to S is -1. Yeah, cool, you can connect to there, connect it up that way. And that's not needed anymore. You connected to the right one, why is there 2? That's nicer. We can get rid of that. Connect that way. Cool. Okay, so only when you're in the correct state, which is right now, you'll be on. This thing will run through. We want to change this. Yep, we do. We want to change this to a memory cell. Yep, output everything. We don't need that anymore. You're connected on the green line. That shouldn't be a problem. And we now just need, actually, yep, we need just these 3 combinators here. And I need a way to get, where's the V signal? You're giving it on the green line there. Okay. So we already know how many banks we have that we looked at, and that's the same number of memory cells that we should look at. I mean, hopefully we have, you need to have enough memory cells for the number of banks you have anyway, so we'll just pass that through, so that can go to there. This red line can go to there, and then this can connect to this same red line. I'll put that there. And we'll disconnect that from there and connect it through that one. And I'll add something to manually reset this one because it needs to get reset. There we go, so it'll count up to B. And then once it does, good, it automatically changes to the next state. So there we go, so now state 0 and 1 are completely automized. Now all we have is this state, which we almost have all done. So I'll just put down pole there, connect it to that pole. We want to connect it over to this one over here. Is that, oh, just too far. Connect the red line as well. She might have made sense to use a large electric pole for that, but that's okay. So get rid of you. State connects to there. Where's our reset? You're our reset. So we'll connect you in first. Now this lit up, which should mean that it should have told it already to go to the next state. Oh, we're not reading. There you go, now we're reading. Okay. So now the only question is, why was it not told to go to the next state? This is, oh, we've got the same issue as before. We need to connect you to the green. There we go. That should be our whole circuit now done. Okay, the only issue we have is we're not resetting everything, which is on you. Okay, let's use some large electric poles for this. So we need to reset you, we need to reset you, you, and you. There are main memory cells we need to reset. We also need to reset this one there, so I can just pull off there. You need to get reset. Just put one there. Something here needs to get reset. You need to get reset. Hopefully you're close enough. And this should be, yep. The only issue I can see here is that this red line here might have tainted it, so we're gonna have this to isolate it for that one. All other ones should be fine. Let me just see. You're the one that gets reset. Okay, we're gonna move you to the green line so that we can connect that to the red line. Cool. Okay, reset that bank of memory cells. Reset that bank. Reset that bank. And that bank. Reset that. Reset that one, and you're getting reset. I think that's everything that needs to be reset. Okay. Signal 0 is 8. That is not what I expected to see, and I didn't see a reset happen. It's probably the same reason as every other. I think let's check. Yeah, you're connected on the red. Okay, cool. Okay, there's a signal 0 getting put onto this line somewhere. Because none of these lights should be turning on, so the only way they're turning on is if a signal 0 is bleeding through. So let's check. Yeah, you look fine. Now the annoying thing, there we go, I could see it just happened there. Looks like it happens during state 2. But where does it happen? Ah, here we go. That should fix it. So let's say state 1, state 2, state 3, and state 4. There we go. Our brain is completely automatic now. That only took like 4 episodes. And we still have to fix up the processing stage. But we'll get to that later. For the moment, we're going to finish this episode off with us working out the circuit for each bank. And then between the episodes, I'll just copy the circuit to each bank. So the main point we need to keep in mind is that each bank, actually no, we want a memory cell with red resetting it. And that will actually replace this constant combinator. Okay, and let's get this. We'll connect it. Thinking, can I connect it to the main setup, or do I need to connect it elsewhere? Well, we need it set up like this, but instead of using red, we need to be using green. What output do you give us? That says 0. Yep. That just gives us A. Okay. So I believe I should be able to output that straight onto this. The reason why I want to do that is just that we can have that one shared line going everywhere. Hopefully that shouldn't break anything, but it might. Okay, so first thing we need to check, are we in state 0? That is our reading state. If we are, output everything. Okay, not only are we in state 0, we also need to check. Okay, so for state 0, output everything. Yep, cool. And I'll connect this red up to here. This will have a value telling it when to read. Then what we want to do, we need to check if we're about to read this circuit. And if so, output the value for it. Yeah, so if that's 0, output everything. A is the bank number, so I want to check if A is... Now, because there's going to be a delay, send through a signal, send through that. I think if I do A is -1, we'll send through a red signal. Then I can check output if here goes to input there, you get that input. Red is 0, output everything, and we'll set red to -1, and that can output onto the same line. Now, I believe that should work. And you need to be connected in. Yeah, that's fine. There's no way for A to be -1 just yet. A is 1. A is 0. That won't equal -1 still. If we make A just -2 for the moment, and we can fix up this timing in a sec. That means when you get a signal of A is 1, it'll be outputted. Okay, that should work. I'll add a light, which will light up when anything's greater than 0. This circuit doesn't actually have anything in it. Do we have a pulse generator? Yes, we've got at least half of one. So we'll do that. And we had more like 1.5 pulse generators. Cool. Green connects to there, you can connect on the red line, and we'll give this that. Good. That's all I needed that for. So this now has what this constant combinator used to have. So now, showing the correct state, which it's not in, but it should be in a sec. Should get A is -1. S is that equals 0, output everything. Good. A is -2. So why is this? Okay, it is setting that correctly. Send out 1 red. That should fix that. Yep, good. I saw the light flash. I'm low on wires. That's okay. Now this can connect here. Because the only thing we're getting on our red line is an S to set that to the next one, or what we're reading from our main thing, which is what's here. So we can connect that way instead. Doesn't seem to have read anything on any of our lines. Oh yeah, that's right, every line needs to at least have a signal. What's the signal we're going to use to say, hey, this line's actually alive? We will use a signal of, why not? That's what I used in my demo, so. I mean, it shouldn't be needed, but just in case. I see what the issue is. You're connected to the wrong line. You need to be connected to that line. I still didn't see it write it anyway. You're getting input from there, on the red line. Yeah, okay, I saw that flash. That's one bit of good news. Disconnect that line, connect it to there. There we go. Interesting, I wonder why this one has a read. So does this. S is a value. S is 1. Okay, looks like putting them both on the same line doesn't actually work. That's fine. We'll just keep the lines separate then. Now it's getting written into the position for -5. Actually, no, -6 that is. Which means it's coming through much later than it should. So what we want to change is a 0, output A is 1. It's fine. Red is 0, reset that. It will do this. When red is greater than 0, output A's input count. That. We'll set A to something like -10. Should mean this should get reset. There you go, this gets reset to -10. Sort of count up from there. And that should hopefully mean that this now gets enough time for us to actually send it at the exact time we need to send it. A's -1. This is bank 0. -1. The same. Okay, that should work. So if it's 1 less than it at this point in time, then it should be the same as it here, which is the same time that this is getting the correct value. But that may be off by 1. The bane of all programmers. Off by 1 errors. Looks like it might be. So again, we'll wait for another loop. I'm still not seeing it getting rid of now. Okay, I'm going to turn the F4 menu on. If you hit F4, you get debug settings, and this will be on when you hit F5, F6, F7. What I want to turn on is, I want to turn on circuit. Where are you? Circuit network numbers. Now that gets you 3 different numbers. The green number is the green circuit network number. The white is how many entities are connected to that circuit. And the red number is the red circuit number, network number. So 2496, which all of these are connected to. That's the circuit to right. Just make sure that that's correctly set up over here. You're on 2496, yep, good, and you're also on 2496 down there. So I know that's definitely connected through, which is good to know. So I'll just turn that off now. I mean, it worked before, so I would have assumed it should have worked again. The next number we should check is our A value. It's on this line. 2444. Well, you're 2458. Okay. So in moving that, output from here is not connected to this circuit. Completely disconnect you. That should work now. 2444 is, yep. And I saw that light flash just then, which is good news. So I know it's getting written somewhere. But what is A at the same time it's getting written? Green line, here's your A. S equals 0, reset. Output its input. Okay, yeah, that's right, you should actually be connected to that one. We'll connect it that way. There we go, we got it right, and it wrote to one above where it should have. So yeah, between the episode I'll fine tune this, it shouldn't be too much hassle to do that. And if it wrote one above where it should, that means we should just be able to get rid of that, and that should now write to exactly where we want it to write to. Wait for this to do another circuit. Circle, there we go, almost done. Now it's 2 above. That's not what I expected it to go the other way. So A is actually -1. That is bad. A0, A here has to be -2 then. Should be the same. So we get -2, and that'll just increase values of A for which bank we're in. It's still writing one above where I expect it to write. That's really annoying. If we set you to -3, instead of running over there, let's just use our radar. Oh, how come that showed up? Oh, I must have it in radar scanning range. So let's have a look. Good, that's the bottom line. Okay, so that's finally set up correctly. That's actually the more difficult one to set up. So that's our read. Now our write is simply, again, another check. Lined up exactly the same. Gonna need some more red wires. This time, again, if S is 0, but we'll take 2 off it. S is 2 is our writing stage. So if S is that, output everything. Then we need to check if yep. A is 0, that means we're writing to this one. So write everything. We'll give this a constant combinator, but it won't be used for this one because this is bank 0. Now I need to be able to write nothing to banks that need nothing. I may set up a signal just to say that the bank is empty. But otherwise, let's just go, okay, if we've got anything, we'll output a single red, which will go to the memory cell. And at the same time, we'll have a 1 tick delay. And then that will go to the memory cell. So when we've got some new data to come in, we'll check, are we writing new data? Are we writing it to this bank? Okay, for the first tick, wipe this memory cell and wait a tick on the data, and then the next tick it will write the data to the memory cell. Now that won't actually change this single bank because this bank is actually set up correctly. So let's just change how this bank is meant to be set up. What are we doing? We'll instead tell it to make us transport belts. We'll wait till that gets past stage 3. There we go. So this should be telling stage bank 0 to change. And it should write that in the next stage. So what's this got? It's still got the same signal. Okay. And this is the more annoying part of putting up circuits, is trying to debug them. That says bank 1, that should be transport belts. A is 1 too high. Okay, okay. Where's something that... You're connected on a red and a green line. If red's greater than 0, output A's input count. So I want to get things red is 0, output red is 1. You're only connected to that. So I can probably hook this up. Oop, I want to decide a combinator here. Same situation, except here we're going to output A's value of 1, and then we will negate it. That's, you're on the same tick, you're on the next tick, and then you can connect to that one's output. I think I just missed the timing to fix that. No, it still says A is 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, because I didn't set this up. That would help. Good, I see no A signal, so that should be writing it there to our 0th bank, which is this one over here. So when we run over and we look at the memory cell should now be telling us. It's not yet telling us what we need to make. Huh. That is because what we need to make isn't being told to it. So when S is 2, yeah, here on the red line we get what we need to make. And you're just everything 0, yep, cool. Okay, pass everything through, put it on a green line. Didn't think it would reach. Let's pass it through here instead. Come on. But it's always writing that. Okay, so we'll fix that by doing So when S is 0, it'll pass all the data through. And that should reset our banks to what they're meant to have. So hopefully this now works fine. And it still doesn't. What's going on? We're probably not getting an S value, that's probably what our issue is. This green line only has the S value. What if if I do this? Good, that way that at least now has an S value on it, which was one of our issues. So now these can actually tell which state we're in. Okay, so S is 0, output everything. Yeah, good, that's still telling us that. Should be outputting it. Let's make sure this is on the right network. 2513. Yep, 2513. You don't get an S value in, do you? You get your S on the green line, so you need to be connected on the red line. That could also get the red signal. Okay, I'll just put down another constant combinator then. Put that, go into your input. So you're reading on the red line. We need to get our S value off the green line. We somehow need to give you I hope there's actually enough time to do this. The only thing I care about is the S signal. Pass it through and take 2 off it while we do that. So that works as a constant combinator. And a isolator. So this should now be outputting values. We want to check that it's actually outputting values, so I didn't see it flash. Output red signals input count. No, output everything's input count. Come on, flash. This is 3. S is 5. Wait, what? S. That makes more sense. Is it -2? Yeah. -1, good. And this should flash. There we go, good. I saw that light up. So, do our last run off. And check. Okay, that's at least got nothing. A is 0, output everything's input count. You declare you should set it. Okay, good, so we're getting data into here. If we've not got a long enough delay in our signal, we should have a long enough delay with a 1 tick delay, but apparently not. There we go, we have our signal. So that was a lot of debugging on the circuit network to do, but that just means now we have this. The only thing we need to change, you're both set to 0, that's good. Connect this on the green wire to the same input as that. And now, if we change this constant combinator, we just change that for which bank we're using. So it's 0 for this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so on and so forth. We connect them all to a shared big electric pole, and that should be every single bank able to be controlled by our brain. So I'll do that in the break. Otherwise, this is Jack B1024. Have a good day.